Hi, I'm the Rap Critic. Let's talk about Coolio. Now, I don't think pop music history as a whole has been very kind to Coolio, since, as far as I can remember, everyone's kind of taken him to be a bit of a joke, a rapper to not be taken seriously. I mean, when you talk about the biggest names in hip-hop in the 90s, the names that are often tossed around are cats like Biggie Smalls, Wu-Tang, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, LL Cool J, Nas, but I almost never hear any praise for Coolio, which is interesting because, I mean, he wasn't really a bad rapper or anything. He was decent enough, and the man had multiple hits back in the day. And in fact, the song I'm reviewing today became the first rap song to be #1 on the Billboard's year-end charts. So people knew who he was. And I think people still know who he is. He's not some obscure figure that time forgot. I just think that, well, people don't really respect Coolio as far as hip-hop is concerned. And hey, I get it. The guy's name is a portmanteau of cool and yo. His name couldn't sound like a more cheesy urban buzzword if he called himself Nah Mean Nah Sayin'. And yeah, at the height of his fame, he did rap the theme song for a kid's TV show. Definitely not the most gangsta thing to do in hindsight, but I'll defend that move because, hey, Kenan and Kel was a good show. And he never struck me as someone who was trying to play, super thug or anything like that, But even minus all of those things, it was the hair, wasn't it? Yeah, it was probably the hair. I mean, few things are gonna make you look like a comical portrayal of hip-hop's aggressiveness than gravity-defying braids. I refuse to bow down to any law written by a white man, and neither will my hair. But yeah, while I think that zero-G braids were cool, honestly, it's not exactly the most toned-down look you could have. I mean, if the only other rapper rocking a similar hairstyle to you is this guy, you might want to go for something different if you want to be taken seriously. It's also not helping that, despite the fact that he's currently balding, he's decided to keep his braids up on the 2 little islands of hair left on his head. Dude, cut that off, man. Go out with some dignity. Oh, what? He's doing soundtracks for porn websites now? Alright then. And I will say that, in addition, it's not like Gangsta's Paradise was the only type of music he was making. His first hit was actually this. Yeah, a lot of his stuff was actually a lot more party-oriented, but with a hardcore rap slant to it. And really, if you think about it, his first smash hit was a song that actually serves as a transitional point for what was happening in hip-hop at the time. Fantastic Voyage was released in 1994, the time period in hip-hop where rap in the mainstream charts was losing its grip on happy dance music like CNC Music Factory and Kid and Play, in favor of the hardcore rap music like Tupac and Bone Thugs and Harmony dominating the charts. And Fantastic Voyage represented the harder edge of that party music, but a lighter side of the gangsta funk era, with the bouncing bass and synth sounds commonly associated with Dr. Dre's style of harsher, thugged-out rap personas, with the song indeed incorporating themes of ghetto culture, but having a main message about Coolio wishing he could close his eyes and escape the dangers of his neighborhood.
Come on, y'all, let's take a ride. Don't you say it's just get inside. Close your eyes and hit the switch. We're going to a place where everybody kicking. It's a place where my kids can play outside without living in fear of a drive-by.
However, where this song encapsulated the transition of trends in mainstream rap, this happier joint wasn't the one people remembered the most. The one that topped the charts and solidified Coolio into the minds of millions was this song, Gangsta's Paradise. This, in my eyes, is the quintessential song that represented hip-hop's identity as a genre, and at the same time echoed the mindset of black culture in American society in the 90s. In fact, I'd say that few songs that got this popular in the 90s really summed up the overall feel of the decade, at least as far as hip-hop and its young audience was concerned. In addition to the song being good, this is quite an audacious music video too. A, because it's one of the very few music videos for a song on a movie soundtrack that actually tried to incorporate what was happening in the movie clips with what was happening in the actual video. Seriously, how many music videos have you watched where they just randomly threw clips or TV screens in there showing parts of a movie that has absolutely nothing to do with the concept of the video? And B, because it ties so well into the movie that this is from, Dangerous Minds. A movie about an upper-class teacher coming into a poor neighborhood to get the hardest kids to teach interested in learning. Now, I can't tell you how good the movie is at portraying this, as I haven't seen it in a while, but I don't remember it being too terrible. However, the way they tied into the music video itself, and actually having Michelle Pfeiffer in the video for a cameo, was pretty cool. And then she says the line,
"You want to tell me what this is all about?"
which sets off the tone in a fitting way, as here's this person of upper-class privilege coming into the darker world of poverty, visually in the music video, but one could say ethnically as well. And she wants to know what this is all about, what is happening in the minds of the people in this environment. and this song and video serve as a microcosmic interpretation of what was happening in the black community as gangsta rap got more popular in the homes of people typically located outside the confines of hip-hop's culture at the time. You know, upper-class white folk.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left. Cause I've been blasting and laughing so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone.
Now right off the bat here, we get Coolio interpolating a quote from Psalms chapter 23, verse 4. And where, in the original context, the verse describes being comforted by a loving God through hardships, inciting hope and faith, Coolio contrasts that with being unassured of his life's path, saying that now that he's gone down this road, there's no way out for him, nothing left for him to do but ride out this path of destruction until his demise. And that, in addition, no one believes in his ability to be anything more than a low-life thug.
But I ain't never crossed a man that didn't deserve it. Me be treated like a punk, you know that's unheard of. You better watch how you're talking and where you're walking, or you and your homies might be lined in chalk.
I'm going to assume that this rhyme scheme is actually a clever way of indicating that Coolio's character had a neglectful elementary school teacher and instead focus on the context, where he defends his motives, citing that, despite everyone on the outside wanting to portray his actions as thoughtless and unjustified, that they arise from an instinct that comes from living in an environment where survival means killing any man who poses a threat.
As they croak, I see myself in the pistol smoke.
Now, this is interesting imagery. He might be saying that he actually sees himself in the smoke, which probably isn't very likely since smoke isn't very reflective, or he could be saying that he sees the smoke, the result of the fired pistol, as a part of him. He sees himself in it, and what the smoke is an after effect of a violent action, which is what he embodies himself as what he is, an after effect of a violent society. Going back to my point that this song encapsulated the 90s, we have a heavily sampled beat and chorus, which flips the Stevie Wonder song but gives it a darker, more sinister tint.
Been spending most of their lives living in a pastime paradise.
You know, I really like when a song not only uses a sample, but changes the feel of it, as Stevie Wonder's original version sounds more cerebral and contemplative, as from what I can tell from its cryptic writing, is about people who are obsessed with the past and waste their lives reminiscing on a time that might not actually have been as great as they thought it might have been, not focusing on the problems that are present in front of them, people who may be lost or insecure and are seeking something to comfort them, similar to the song quoted at the beginning of Coolio's verse. Now what do they do to flip it? So here, LV, the singer, is saying that they've been surrounded by the type of environment that criminals thrive off of. Just as dead animals attract buzzards, the environment that they've been born into, the ghetto, attracts criminal activity. So when you're born into it, why wouldn't you get caught up in it? It doesn't matter what type of person you throw in it either. This environment we live in invites criminals based on the way it functions. So as you may have guessed, the word paradise is a subversion of what the word typically represents. And whereas a lesser rapper would have used the paradise angle to blast on the fleeting perks that come with that life, like maybe the rush of drugs, easy women, and power, this song focuses mainly on how this paradise is in reality a festering pool of negative energy that inherently drags you down.
Look at the situation they got me facing. I can't live a normal life. I was raised by the street.
And by saying that, I just inadvertently explained this line.
So I gotta be down with the hood team. Too much television watching got me chasing dreams.
And in this lyric, he throws a quick jab at TV's typical portrayal of life. As frequently on television, we see the lives of those who live 10 times better than we may ever live, and it causes us to not be content with reality, to chase after a shallow, predetermined expectation of success.
Power and the money, money and the power, minute after minute, hour after hour, everybody's running, but half of them ain't looking what's going on in the kitchen, but I don't know what's cooking.
A lot can be said about this guy's cadence, which has a gruff but ear-catching vocal inflection, so that each line rises in its energy and pitch, so that when it gets to the fourth line in the couplet, you've heard this build-up of tension, leading to him saying that everyone's afraid of him, scared of what he is and what he represents. And when he says the last line, it honestly comes across as a man who doesn't know what's wrong with himself, why he is the way he is, what even motivates his actions anymore. And what really cranks this song up to what it represents is broken down in the last couple of lines.
They say I got to learn, but nobody's here to teach me. If they can't understand it, how can they reach me? I guess they can't, I guess they won't, I guess they front. That's why I know my life is out of luck, fool.
Now this, to me, honestly, is one of the most important lyrics in hip-hop. In lower class communities, our school systems keep getting their budgets gutted every year, and we have to deal with bad teachers, outdated books, and a biased educational system that doesn't care if students actually learn anything as long as they mindlessly memorize facts for tests that will never apply to their everyday lives. Here he makes it plain, and in a general sense, if our government doesn't see the value in our intelligence and actively doesn't care about our well-being, if the ones in charge don't want to help us and actively cut the funding for education and have authority figures that abuse their power for their own gain at our expense, why should I care about what their biased institution wants to tell me? That, my friends, is what the youth of the 90s were going through in poor neighborhoods. And for the first time in American music history, you had to pay attention to the unedited words of a disenfranchised chunk of America. The people that were once glossed over are now in your face, and you had to be uncomfortable. You had to see what America's racist, classist system had done to those not lucky enough to be born in a suburban neighborhood. Finally, America, you had to look your problems in the eye, and when you did that, you had no choice but to, well, assimilate the culture into a watered-down caricature of its former self without really understanding its problems, draining it of any impact, and grossly rewarding those who exploited and exaggerated the ills of its lifestyle. Life is stupid like that. Anyways, I give this song a 5 out of 5 stars. You know, a lot of mainstream rap songs talked about being gangster and hardcore, but very few of them gave you a look into the paranoid persona, the pessimistic, self-destructive thought processes that come with it. At least, very few have done it in ways that didn't just come off as trying to sound cool. I don't feel like he enjoyed any of this. I felt like he hated this lifestyle. He hated himself, and he hated the world that put him there. This song is a lament. It's a dark evaluation of what was going on in the heart of hip-hop, and it was needed in pop culture. And it was also parodied by Weird Al.
We've been spending most our lives living in an Amish paradise.
I'm not doing this on purpose, I swear.